Yes, sir. I think we are good to go.
Okay, sir, we will start. Hello, participants. I am Venitasham from volunteer from Subi Vidya Foundation. Welcome you to the webinar on timeless wisdom, bridging the ancient to modern environmental protection. Introduction will be presented by Professor V. Sumitra Devi. Keynote by Mr. Sundaresan Subramanian, founder, CEO, Subi Vidya Foundation. Kindly keep your mic mute and ask a question in the question section or put in the chat box. Okay, ma'am, you can.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you. A special welcome to our speaker and founder of Subi Vidya Foundation, Mr. Sudaresan Subramanian, fondly known as Mr. Subi. I am Professor Sumitra Devi, part of Subi Vidya Foundation. As an architect and a town planner with more than 2 decades of experience, I register that today's topic is the need of the hour for Mother Earth. Now, a few words to introduce our speaker, Subi sir. He is a renowned engineer, management professional, speaker, writer, and trainer with a successful career in the global energy and environmental sectors. He has received multiple prestigious international awards, including one from Tamil Nadu government, and has led transformative projects in energy, sustainability, and environment. An avid writer, he contributes to discussions on energy, environmental issues, and the link between ancient scriptures and modern living. Mr. Subramanian has also trained thousands of professionals promoting his vision for a sustainable future. Now, about Subi Vidya Foundation. Founded by Mr. S. Subramanian, Subi Vidya Foundation, SVF, is a Chennai-based non-profit organization focused on positively impacting communities by raising awareness and promoting knowledge for better living standards. Leveraging ancient wisdom, its mission is to encourage caring for nature and promote better living through education, training, and sustainable practices. Welcome to the webinar, all of you. And the floor is over to you, sir. We are just eagerly awaiting your presentation. Yes, sir.
Okay. That's good. Well, I can also share my presentation right away. Okay.
Team, do you have sir's presentation? We'll be having it, right?
Okay.
Yes,
now
sir.
I think you got it.
I think it is starting to come.
Who's got
Yeah,
it?
it's come. We've got it, yes.
Okay. All right. We'll start with prayer. Gajananam bhutaganati sevitam kapita jambu palasara pakshitam umasutam soka vinasakaranam namami Vigneshwara pada pankajam Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sadashiva Samarambam Sankaracharya Madhyamam Asmat Acharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Namaste and greetings to all. Welcome to this first program of Subi Vidya Foundation on timeless wisdom, bridging the ancient to modern environmental protection. Let me introduce first Subi Vidya Foundation because the first time people are hearing about it, and I thought you should all know what it is about. It is charitable non-profit organization which is aiming to create a very positive impact in communities through various activities. Nature is an incredible wonder that inspires me constantly. This foundation, which I founded, is an expression of my deep concern and passion to respect nature. Just as a business needs capital to grow, all living beings also need some capital to grow. And what is that capital? Mother Nature provides the capital. It's a free capital in various forms like rivers, forests, food, plants, etc. They're all meant for our growth. Because nature's capital is given free, we often take it for granted and overexploit it. If a business doesn't take care of the capital, it becomes bankrupt. Likewise, if we don't take care of nature, we will get ruined. So, the slogan of this foundation is Nurture Nature. It's kind of a simple thing to follow, not really difficult. What do we know? We need knowledge to safeguard our capital, natural capital. Just imagine, on our own, we cannot create even a single blade of grass. It is all created by nature. The mission of our foundation is to empower communities, enhance knowledge of nature, to lead healthier, happier lives, more fulfilling. So our activities will aim towards this acceleration of personal growth, well-being, and sustainable living. In doing so, we propose to link ancient wisdom with modern life experiences to foster development. This first webinar, what I'm giving, is the start of a series of activities. In the coming months, you'll find many programs. We plan to inspire people with interesting programs and innovative projects. So please support us and stay tuned on this. Now, talking about today's presentation, the first part, in fact, I'm going to talk to you in 4 parts. The first part, I'm going to define some terms and fundamentals in our timeless wisdom. And number 2, we'll talk about the key environmental issues facing us. And number 3, water is the most important issue, We'll spend more time on it, the current water scenario. We'll talk more about the demand side, or rather the supply side of water. Demand side we'll take later. We'll like to give you a picture of what is existing now and the practices in India. And lastly, the 4th part, how do we bridge the ancient wisdom in the modern context? We like to propose solutions. In fact, if you see the logo, you can see 2 S's. SS coming in the logo, and SS refers to strategic solutions. So we'll talk about this in these 4 parts, and then we'll conclude with our proposed future activities and also our recommendations. So that is the part of the whole program today. It will last approximately 1 hour. If you have any questions, please jot them down, and you can use the comment section. And we'll start at the very beginning, defining some of the words. What is timeless wisdom? We talk about it. Timeless wisdom is a wisdom for creating a happier and balanced life. It helps us to arm ourselves with the inner resources we need to address challenges in life. It's a body of knowledge and insights that were accumulated by our ancestors over thousands of years, not yesterday. Let me give you a very recent example of our wisdom. We just celebrated the festival of Pongal or Makar Sankranti in different names in different parts of India. In Tamil Nadu, we celebrate for 3 days. On the first day, the main day of the festival, people offer prayers to the sun god, Surya, praying for good health, prosperity, and thanking him for the bountiful harvest. It's a harvest festival. So they make Pongal, a sweet dish from the rice they harvested. And the second day is called Mattu Pongal. Mattu means really cattle. And we are really honoring the cattle. The Pongal is dedicated to honoring and celebrating cattle, especially bulls, which are integral to our agricultural work. And farmers express gratitude. In fact, they do the puja to animal. They do alankaram to the horns, they put flowers and everything, kumkum and everything. They honor and they express their gratitude. So the first 2 days are really like Thanksgiving to sun god and the animals that serve. The third day of Pongal is called Kanum Pongal. Kanum means to see, in Tamil. It's a time for socializing and family reunions. It's a day when people visit relatives, go around, see, exchange greetings, enjoy festive meals together. It is really a happy occasion for people to socialize, irrespective of caste or creed. Together, these 3 days symbolize not only a religious celebration, but a cultural expression of community, unity, and respect for nature. It's all a part of timeless wisdom. Or if you say in Tamil, Kalatil Adiyada Jnanam. In Hindi, you can say Kalatit Jnan. But science is called Vigyan, you know that. There is a beautiful Sanskrit phrase called Vasudeva Kudumbakam. Vasudeva Kudumbakam, which is found in Rig Veda, which means the world is a family. So ancient wisdom was meant for everybody, irrespective of our citizenship, where you live, whether you're wealthy or poor, everybody. Our ancestors wanted us to be very happy. They really cared for people, they really cared for nature, and wanted a healthy, happy, and thriving planet. Now, someone can ask from the audience, how do you know? There are always arguments. How do you know? I know it because we have evidence through many ancient scriptures and inscriptions on stones and metal. To quote some examples, I'm going to be giving you some little quotes in Tamil and in Sanskrit. These are two languages I know. I'm sure there is wisdom in other languages, but I don't know that. So, my ask for forgiveness for those who do not know Tamil. I'll give you a translation in English. There was a great Tamil philosopher and Hindu saint called Manavar. He lived about 300 years ago, and he said one little sentence. எல்லோரும் இன்புற்றிருக்க நினைப்பதுவே அல்லாமல் வேறொன்றும் அறியேனி பராபரமே. Meaning, O Supreme, I do not know anything else other than thinking that all should be happy. What a wonderful sentence, one sentence. Wishing well to everybody. Another traditional Sanskrit mantra, Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu, which means may everyone in the whole world be happy. It's a part of a Shanti mantra. We have many, many ancient scriptures in different languages. Vedas, Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, they're all in Sanskrit. You got Tirukkural, many other scriptures, Purananuru in Tamil. Both are great. You may call them as Dharma Grantha or Shastra, or in Hindi you can say Shastra Vachan. They're all pointing out to a code of conduct leading to a structured way of life. The word Veda itself is derived from the Sanskrit root vid, to meaning to know, to perceive, to understand. Veda simply means knowledge. It was revealed to the ancient rishis. They experienced it. The knowledge evolved and passed down orally from teacher to student and student to other students and from parent to children. And over thousands of years, this got passed down. The Vedas illustrate the man-nature relationship and hold a scientific logic too. Both Vedic texts and the modern sciences describe laws that govern the universe. The Vedas often mention cosmic principles such as dharma and karma, which govern moral, natural, cosmic order, like how modern scientific laws describe the forces and patterns in the physical world. Like the law of gravity, for example. They never change. Even before Isaac Newton discovered it, the gravity law was still there. We didn't know about it. The apple always fell from the tree down, never went up, even before Isaac Newton. The chemical composition of water is still H2O, correct? So, in essence, both Vedas and modern science seek to understand the secrets of the universe. The Vedas emphasize spiritual, metaphysical knowledge, while modern science needs empirical, objective data, needing some proof. Both contribute to our understanding of the world around us. The scriptures have always provided humanity a saying not to work against the five elements, but to cordially coexist with them. With very profound teachings, these scriptures give us a guiding light to the path of happiness and spiritual growth. Working with nature, we will win. But working against nature, we lose and nature wins. You have seen it in many places. So, where do we really start? It starts with the individual, not at the top government or top corporations, not in organizations. It starts with the individual. At the bottom, it starts with discipline and a code of conduct. Many of you are familiar with Vishnu Sahasranamam, which was composed thousands and thousands of years back at the end of Mahabharata war. There is a verse in the Palasruti which explains the benefits. I am going to recite that verse. Sarvagamanam achara pratamam parikalpate achara prabhavo dharma dharmasa prabhurachyutaha. Sarvaga agamanam. You can take it in two ways really. For all the Agama Sastras, achara, which is right conduct or a discipline, is determined as the first requirement. Pratamam parikalpate. This is the basis for dharma. Self-ordained duty. It is born out of discipline. And the master of dharma is Achyuta. Two lines which are very meaningful, stressing that you have to be disciplined. Acharam is not just cleanliness or daily taking a bath. No, it applies to many things. We need purity in what we consume, like water and food also. Only if there is purity of food, purity of thoughts, purity of mind, then you have good life to lead. So acharam is the right conduct. So the ancient Sanskrit, they lay down the discipline and a code of right conduct as basic requirements to lead a happy living. It applies to everyone. So let's see what are the essentials for a meaningful life. Is there any exception? Everybody wants to live happily, right? There is no exception. Rich or poor, whether you are American or Indian, everybody wants to be happy. What do you need to lead a happy life? Is it lots of money, luxury, big house, big car, so on? To enjoy all these, first and foremost, you need good health, isn't it? If you don't have health, you cannot enjoy anything else. So health and happiness are closely related. The first thing, you should have good health. I've seen so many poor people who don't have money but very happy. But there are many rich people who are miserable also. So health is wealth, as the old saying goes. Now, what is health is another question. Now, there is a definition by the World Health Organization which defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity or illness. It's a very nice definition. The mind body connection is a powerful force that affects our physical and mental health in more ways than we realize. In short, a healthy body and healthy mind together leads to happy life, isn't it? Of course, there are other attributes like social connection and all that, but we are confining today to these two important requirements. What are the essentials for good physical health? Now, three main things. You need air to breathe, you need water to drink, you need good food, clothing, and shelter. Unpolluted air. It should be a clean air. Clean means it should not have any dust, it should not have other elements which are giving you problems to the chest, to the lungs, and so on. In Hindi, you can say Swachha Hawa, Pani, or Bhojan. To say it in Tamil, you can say அழுக்கற்ற மாசு இல்லாத தூய்மையான துப்புரவான காற்று நீர் மற்றும் உணவு. Ask yourself a honest question. Are you getting all these three in pure form? Most of us will say no. It's a very serious environmental issue. That has to be addressed. So going further, what about the mental health? What do you need for that? Now here where the timeless wisdom and ancient Indian culture comes up. The sacred scriptures provide a treasure of insights for nurturing our minds and spirits. For acquiring good mental health, our ancestors revealed many things created by nature as a source of healing and rejuvenation. Not many people realize it. There is a strange part of it. It is the moon. If you take at it, you see the full moon, it is beautiful, so nice. The Suktam from Rigveda says, Chandrama manaso jataha chaksho suryo ajayata. Chandrama manaso jataha. The moon was born of the mind and the sun from the eyes. Thus the moon relates to the mind. How do you know? Everybody asks this. Even the English word lunar is an adjective to moon, isn't it? What does lunatic mean? Lunatic comes from the word lunar, means a mad person who's unsound mind, mentally affected. Isn't it? We didn't teach the English to derive this. They got it. So our moods vary according to the phases of the moon. You feel romantic on a full moon day, you don't feel that romantic on a Amavasya day when there is no moon. So they have moonlight dinners and so on, right? So that is one part of it, that the mental health is related to the moon, and then we have to see that the moods can vary and how to keep it in balance is the question. Talk about the word mantra, just one single word. What does it mean? Manana trayate iti mantraha. That which protects you when recited with the mind. Now the word mantra has already found a place in English dictionary, They are talking about management mantras. In fact, I wrote a book about it, management and mantras. So it is all now known clearly that mantra provides solutions, right? Now you should look at the other beautiful variety that nature offers us. Colorful flowers. You can't even replicate those colors. So beautiful. Just look at them. Trees bearing fruits, all kinds of fruits. Blue ocean beaches. Don't you get a sense of joy when you look at it? That is why we all love to go on vacation, to enjoy all these and derive happiness. So it goes to prove that the environment can have a significant impact on health and happiness, and nature can create many positive emotions such as calmness, joy, creativity, and can build what I call emotional resilience. Now, what about the scriptures? Which are the scriptures which are telling you so many things? I'd like to quote one saint called Saint Patanjali. No, Patanjali is a commercial name now, but that's different. This Patanjali I'm talking about, he was avatara of Adiseshan, and he came down to the earth, and he was living in Chidambaram, where is the Nataraja temple, and 2nd century before Christ. There is a saying in Sanskrit, Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena. No, this means yogena chittasya. He gave three things. He said, one is mind. I have to give some solution to control the mind. Second is the body, which is suffering from diseases. I have to find some medicines for it. And third is the expression, padena vacham, to be able to communicate, to be able to express yourself properly. So he gave us the science of yoga, yogena chittasya. And the second is padena vacham, which is a commentary on Panini's grammar, Ashtadhyayi. It's called Mahabhashyam, which is one of the best commentaries ever, the large Bhashyam. And he clarified how to use the word and how to speak and so on, distinct and pure. And to purify the impurities in the body, malam sarirasya vaidyakena, or medical science. It is said Patanjali gave us what is called Charaka Samhita, which is a great science of medical science and the root of Ayurveda. So yoga itself means from the root yuj, to connect. To connect what? To connect with positive people, to connect with positive thoughts, and to connect ultimately with the Paramatma or Supreme. There is a saying in English, an idle mind is a devil's workshop, they say, right? So you cannot keep your mind idle. It has to control. It has to be controlled on a leash. The sound of mantras and chants help to soothe the mind and control the mind and heal as we navigate through the various complexities of modern life. Let's draw from this ancient wisdom to enrich our understanding of mental well-being. Okay, let's talk about India. Incredible India. You can see an ancient country that worship 5 elements, eternally connected with the 5 elements. You know what they are: water, earth, akasham, fire, and earth. These severely now impacted by the abuse of the very same 5 elements. It's a sad state, really. The 5 elements on senses, the 5 senses you have, they are connected. The Vedas, the oldest and most sacred text of India, they have profound knowledge on how ancient Indians lived in harmony with the Pancha Mahabhutas, which are the 5 foundational elements of nature. As you know, these are Prithvi is called earth, Apaha is water, Agni is fire, Vayu is air, and lastly Akasha, which is the ether. Now, the Vedic scholars and yogis realized that our bodies are also made up of 5 elements. The belief is that they are connected. Ether relates to hearing, as sounds travel through it. Air relates to touch. Fire relates to sight. Water relates to taste. And earth relates to smell. When it starts raining somewhere, you can smell the earth, Many of you must have experienced that. So it shows how each element interacts and influences the corresponding sense and related bodily functions. So yoga and meditation practices were all thought to internalize and purify the 5 elements found in the body and the mind. So our ancestors had a great respect for this Pancha Mahabhutam, and they realized that if we do not respect and cooperate with them, we will struggle. For example, let's say a man smokes a cigarette. He pollutes the air and is also polluting himself. Even though there is a caution, smoking is injurious to health, he doesn't mind it. He pollutes, not only for himself but others also. Let's take water. They harm all life by polluting it with chemicals. It harms all lives, including cattle. I have dealt with many cases where there have been litigation on this account. Some people now adulterate even food, all for the sake of money. Earth provides enough to a man's need, but not every man's greed, as Mahatma Gandhi said, right? Okay, where is the wisdom coming in action? The wisdom in temples, for example. Now, India is home to millions of temples. We know that. In Tamil Nadu alone, there are over 40,000 temples. Starting with the worship of nature. In course of time, they built temples to divine images. And besides religious worship, they were serving the people in various ways, multi-purpose, I would say, multi-purpose services. First, they provided jobs, the flower seller, the priest, the sculptor, the painter, the cook, the metal workers, the garment weavers, umpteen number of them. The kings had the wisdom to provide the jobs to them. They didn't work for money alone. They worked for a livelihood. They had a passion. They had water bodies to provide water. Every temple had it. And it served as a town hall for functions. You see a big mandapam, I don't know where some of you seen. In Chidambaram, they have a mandapam called Vyakarna Mandapam. It is a mandapam of grammar. Vyakarna means grammar. And Patanjali taught grammar there. So it got the Vyakarna Mandapam. Many Shiva temples have this. They are used for functions, meeting, festivities, and so on before the modern air-conditioned halls came. Now, the temple was the nucleus of life for the village or city. The services to the people were called in Tamil Tirupani. Tirupani. Pani means work, service. Tiru adds a divinity to it, the prefix Tiru. There is also an expression in Tamil called Bakkal Sevai, Maheshan Sevai, meaning service to people is service to God himself. Such was a timeless wisdom. And water was always considered holy. In temples, you see the picture here, they give you a spoonful of tirtham, and people hold it with reverence and drink it. They believe that one drop of water contains lot of power. You cannot buy that holy water anywhere else. It is a multi-dimensional practice on religious significance, cultural tradition, even psychological well-being. In Vedic texts, water is offered apa. Literally, water is considered to be purifying. You see the Kumbhabhishekam, you see the crowds, they surge forward. They sprinkle water from up the Koburam, a height of maybe 30, 40 feet. Everybody rushes to get a sprinkling of the water because they believe it is going to solve their problems. So, you have let me see, the current example of Mahakumbhabhishekam. Mahakumbhamela, which is now in Prayagraj, where 400 million people are expected to attend. This is the organized statement. It is the largest human gathering in history. You have never seen it before. And people take a dip in ice-cold water. Why? Think of it. For thousands of years, it is a proof of the profound faith in the power of holy water. It is spiritual, it is cultural, it is traditional. It has been handed down from the ancestors for thousands of years. An incident comes to my mind. My wife and I, we visited the last Kumbh Mela in Prayagraj, 2018. and my wife wanted to take some water from the Ganga river. And there were so many vendors selling all kinds of ware, and she asked one of them in her Hindi, "Bhai sahab, ye Ganga pani le जाने के लिए कुछ बोतल मिलेगा?" And he replied, "हाँ माँ जी, जरूर मिलेगा." लेकिन माँ जी, एक फरमाइश, एक गंगा पानी मत बोलिए, गंगा का जल बहुत पवित्र है, इसे गंगा जल कहिए. I was stunned by this reply. It reflected the great reference the poor vendor, a village man, had for the water from Ganga. This emotional attachment is what is inherited from the timeless wisdom, from the traditions of incredible India. And this person was a very poor man. He had a family and looked very happy. So it is his state of mind, happiness, is not necessarily restricted to those who stay in five-star hotels. Now, okay, going to the next slide. Now let's see what are the key environmental issues. Now this slide shows you a formal international survey done by a very reputed organization called Bhumi Global. The top 5 environmental concerns they point out is water pollution, number 1, then deforestation, then biodiversity loss, climate change, and lastly, air pollution. So in today's presentation, we will deal mainly with the subject of water because we cannot cover all of them, it being a very detailed subject. As you know, environment is a very large subject. So let's see. I'm going to ask you a question. Did you know that less than 0.007% of all the water in the earth is available to drink? You have oceans, 3/4 of the land, 3/4 of the globe, but then you can't drink it. The drinkable water is such a small percentage, and more than half of the groundwater is decreasing. I'm going to tell you about this. Why worry about water? People casually dismiss it. Oh, no, no worry at all. It will be there forever. No, it's not that. You see the distressing picture. This is Niti Aayog. On the left side, you find a chart where the per capita availability is projected for the year 2050. And the brown, the downmost in South India, what you see is the worst affected, where people depend a lot on groundwater and they are not going to get it. Very, very distressing picture. And you see on the right side, 54% of India's groundwater, they are decreasing. You can see it. And I have personally experienced it in many projects. So there is over-exploitation of groundwater. I can relate myself to a meeting I had in Tirupur Textiles long ago, when everybody said, oh, we have been working for many decades, no problem about water, sir. But there was indeed a problem because the deep well, bore wells went to 400, 500 feet. And where are they going to get the water anymore? Unless they recycle. That was what is done. They were polluting the local river. So the demand for fresh water has been steadily growing one side, but the availability is going to be less. It is going to be the most water challenged countries. So we have to understand and make no mistake about it. Water and water pollution is a serious issue in India. Poor people are more vulnerable to pollution and the impacts are more likely to those people who work outdoors, construction labor and metro work is going on. They are working. They are involving physical labor and have very little access to affordable healthcare. How to protect our natural environment, how to deal with the causes and consequences of climate change are all clearly among the leading issues. What about wastages? The colossal wastages. About 70% of water wasted in irrigation. Biggest culprit. Now we have to see how we can reduce it. There are many, many ancient wisdom. One is I can quote you the Arthashastra of Kautilya, who was known as Chanakya in the Mauryan era. I'm talking about before Christ. He records extensive irrigation systems, including dams and bunds. They are all managed under strict regulations. And taxes were imposed on usage. These are all there, but we have not really cared to study them. And his recommendation today aligns with the modern practices like rainwater harvesting and use of pondings and so on. See, weddings and public events waste huge amounts of water. Some of the weddings I attended recently, they give you the PET bottle, 1 liter bottle, and people drink half of it and throw it. What happens? Food. I read somewhere today in Bangalore alone, every day there are 400 tons of food wasted every day. Just imagine. These are all things that we have to think about, and what is required is a change of attitude. Now, how did our ancestors ensure constant availability of water? They didn't have electricity also in those days. Let's see. They have astoundingly complex ways. They are marvels of water conservation for garden step wells. You know how I came to know? In fact, I had forgotten it. My wife and I visited the Shiva temple in Kauai, Hawaii. And when I expressed my interest in environment, there were monks who took me to the editorial room. They are publishing a magazine called Hinduism Today. And they showed me an article which was written by an author based in Chicago. Then because I came from Chicago at that time. And this article was titled Forgotten Stepwells. It was under print. And they showed me the big size. And it really stirred my interest. It showed me how the kings of Rajasthan, a desert area, which I know how, they address the water problem using the left side, the picture of the stepwell. And many of these stepwells were built during the 3rd and 5th centuries. Mata Bhavani in Ahmedabad, very old stepwell, built in the 11th century. No, there is an estimate of more than 3,000 such stepwells in India, as per some estimates, and they ensured water availability during times of drought. Water can reach wells and stepwells by traveling through aquifers and also through rain harvesting. And as groundwater passes through the soil, it gets free of suspended impurities. They didn't have filters, no AquaGuard in those days. But today it's sad that many of these deep wells are abandoned. They don't care. Sad, no one teaches about these in our schools and colleges. Restoring these stepwells is one solution to potentially solve water availability issues. I'm going to give you another example of ponds and wells for drinking water. These are actually examples which I thought will be useful for you to understand. The lack of water was a serious problem, especially in many of the areas where they did not get regular rains. Now, I was born in the town of Pudukkottai, and I've spent some time. And this town of Pudukkottai was built beautifully by an administrator called Seshaya Sastri in the year 1878. And he carried out many town reforms, including the remodeling of the township with beautiful streets. They're all numbered. First street, second street, third street, east, west, so on. And he constructed an artificial pond, a new one called Pudukkulam. Pudu means new. And I've gone around this Pudukkulam provided drinking water. And he appointed guards not to pollute that river. And the guards went on rounding. Now it was 1 mile if you go around, a square pond. And this is an excellent creation of that administrator for drinking water. We used to get drinking water in our home from the kolam. And it had rain harvesting, and the water was very good. We used to no need to purify it. And people loved it. Sadly, the Pudukkottam is not the same as it was. So restoring old wells. Now, this is a project I did in Thailand when I had funded from USAID funding a project for a company called Flat Water Fleet in Minnesota. Now, at that time, Thailand in rural areas, they had many wells, but they were not in use because nobody cared for them. So this company from Minnesota, they designed and implemented solutions. They brought, the left picture down. You see the device which is mounted on a truck. They'll go there, and then whichever well needs to be refurbished, they were brought to life by digging, dredging, sort of. They had like drills, like you use in oil exploration. They dug it and then cleaned it up, and then came the groundwater. So this is one example how we can do. There are so many thousands of wells which are not in use. So ancient India was home to thousands of water bodies, and these were all providing water, and it has significantly reduced in number due to urbanization, pollution, neglect, and so on. Next, I'm going to talk about the ancient wisdom in this home state of Tamil Nadu. Now, thousands of years ago, the Tamils were endowed with exemplary knowledge in environmental management. They built thousands of temples, not with a commercial motive for earning money, but out of a genuine interest to provide services to the people. They still do. They built artificial lakes, ponds, and carried out water storage. And ancient Tamil literature speaks eloquently about this knowledge on water. There were over 13,000 lakes, many of them ancient, and they were all rainwater fed water bodies for irrigation, cattle, and drinking water. Almost every village had 3 water bodies, one for irrigation, one for cattle, and one called Urani or pond for drinking water. All the 3 are rain fed. Many villages have survived because of these catchment bodies. And Thiruvalluvar, as you know, he was an ancient poet and philosopher. He wrote Tirukkural, a book of wisdom. It's one of the greatest classics of Tamil language. And he has composed something like 1,330 couplets, 2 lines, chorals. Now, he has recorded the universal truth in his remarkably brilliant words. நீர் இன்று அமையாது உலகனின் யார் யார்க்கும் வான் என்று அமையாது ஒழுக்கு. நீர் இன்று அமையாத உலகு. There is no world without water. The verse goes on to say how there will be a collapse of morality if the rains fail. Another example of wisdom, you can say, there was a Jain monk who was called Ilango Adigal, a Chera prince he was, and a poet who is believed to have lived in the 3rd century. He composed a great epic called Silappatikaram, and Ilango Adigal speaks about the king who makes his country fertile by harvesting the rainwater through construction of lakes and tanks and puts them to use. I'll quote him. இடியுடை பெருமழை எய்தா ஏக பிழையா விளையுள் பெருவளம் சுரப்ப மழை பிணித்து ஆண்ட மன்னவன். Clearly saying it is the responsibility of the ruler. The kings were responsible and had the wisdom to harvest rainwater, the purest and perfect medium for extracting nutrients, medicinal properties, and flavors from plants. Auvayar, another great Tamil poet, was a woman who lived in the 12th century, and she was known for the wisdom, her single line point, only one line, Atichudi. I read it when I was a child, but still resonating in my mind. It illustrates her wisdom with very crisp words. He says, Varapuera neer uyaram. If the plowing ridge, when they plow, you get a ridge. If that is high, it leads to better level of water. Neer uyara nel uyaram. The water level increases, it yields better produce. Nel uyara kudi uyaram. With harvest, better standards of living for the citizens. Kudi uyara kol uyaram. Kol uyara kono. One. Talking about better living, it leads to the prosperity of the scepter, the stick they hold for the establishment of justice. It is there now in Delhi also, carried from Tamil Nadu in the new parliament. With better living, it leads to the prosperity of the scepter, symbolizing the royal authority and the king's powers. So in Tamil Nadu too, the 5 elements were treated as most sacred. Every temple has what is called a Sthala Vriksham, one tree, divine tree, and then a water body. They were all protected. So Eri, They built so many areas, Areas, for example, Velacheri. It was a lake. Tangal. Tangal is also a area. Ayyappan Tangal, for example. These are all great examples of what they did. Gangaikonda Solapuram, which I visited some years back here, was the capital city of Rajendra Chola, one of the finest kings, greatest Chola king. His army defeated many kingdoms and brought back holy water from river Ganga, Gangaikonda Cholan, and he poured the Ganga water into a lake he built called Chola Gangam, one of the largest man-made lakes in India. So these are all examples of how the ancient really helped us, the society, to live. Going further, there is also a Bhumi Suktam, one of these greatest tributes to Bhuma Devi, or Mother Earth. It describes Mother Earth as a divinity sustained by truth, righteousness. Suktam, Sa Uktam means well said. Uktam means to say. Sa means good. Suktam is well said. In early days, most of our days of waste were all perishable, and biodegradable. We don't have a serious issue with plastics like this before. A lot of waste went into the ground, perishables, and they provide manure. But today we have non-biodegradable plastic, glass, metals, electronic waste, syringes, biochemical waste, cardboard, paper, old cloth, thermocol, everything, cans, man-made polymers, batteries, and so on. Most of these waste are dumped on the ground, and people are indifferent, so they don't care much. So the Bhumi Suktam really imparts lessons regarding how the attitude of a person must be shaped to cultivate importance of environment, and it emphasizes the need to live in harmony with nature. Yatte bhumi viknami chipram tadapi rohatu mate marba bimugra bari mate hriday marpimam. O Bhumi, O land, whatever I dig out of you, may that generate quickly. May we not get hurt or damaged by hurting you. That is warned us about the over exploitation of natural resources. So these are some of these great, great scriptures that we have. I am going to now give you some real examples where I have visited myself. And these are all recent examples of how the ancient wisdom has been translated into benefit for people now. Let's go to the first one. From barren to bountiful. This is an example of Sadhana forest, which is in near Pondicherry. You see the picture here in 2003, left side. It was an arid land, uncultivable, 70 acres of land. And you see the picture today down below. It is now a beautiful, bountiful farm, highly productive. And who made it possible? Just one single person with his wife, who's a friend of mine, Aviram Rosin. He's from Israel, incidentally. He has transformed this 70 acres of land by his passion. And it is a beautiful place. And Subi Vidya Foundation shares their aim to introduce a growing number of people to sustainable living, like this one, for example. Simple living, high thinking. It is an example of sustained human endeavor. Another example, this is a way they use it. Innovative micro tip. They are using the thrown away PET bottles, make a hole on it and put a wick on it and put it inverted, and the top cap controls the flow. You see the blue on the right side. So this is how they do micro drip irrigation, and they have grown so many plants. They are not wasting any water. See, that is a great thing about this. More crop per drop is the slogan. Another thing which I want, this is also another place I visited. I call it the miracle of Manjakudi. What is special about Manjakudi? It's a very small village in Tamil Nadu, located on the banks of Kaveri River, and also happens to be the birthplace of Swami Dayananda Saraswati. He was a monk. And the village had a population of less than 2,000. Small village, sleepy village. The main occupation was farming and agriculture, mostly cultivators, living under poverty. We visited this place is now converted into a bustling hub full of activities. There is an educational trust. There are schools, there are colleges, there are universities. They teach MBA. And then they have an organic farm. They have a Goshala. They have Veda Padasala. They even have a BPO, which is servicing the USA from a little village. I wrote about this village in my blog, naming it as a miracle of Manjakudi. And it is a clear demonstration of transforming a sleepy village into a busy hub of educational and economic prosperity. Who made the difference? Not the government. And it is only the passion of one single man supported by a community. The medicinal herbs are grown on this farm, It is a superb model worth replicating in other cities. I wanted to share it. One more example, which is in Chennai, very close to where we live. It's a demonstration of the power of a community. You see, there was a lake called Chittalapakam Lake. You see the picture on the right. 2018, it was full of muck and full of solid waste thrown away. It's a 50-acre lake. And over 5 years, it was revived by the residents of Chittalapakam. This old lake was forgotten, but it was in a total neglect. And hundreds of petitions to the government, they did not bear any fruit. Then some citizens took place, they took action, and once the numbers increased from a handful to a huge team, now it is done. It is a shining example of what can be done through collective efforts. So this is an example. So similarly, you can start with one person, it will grow. Now, just a word about this climate change. It's a very detailed subject. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but it is one of the challenges now in the world. The year 2024 was the hottest year in record. Now, what drives climate change? The solar input, you have the greenhouse effect coming in. The sun's ray travels something like 93 million miles before hitting the upper atmosphere. Almost 1/3 of it gets reflected, as you see. And the rest of it comes inside and then bombs the earth and radiates energy back as infrared radiation. Now, there is something called greenhouse gases, which is carbon dioxide, methane, and water absorb. They absorb some of the infrared radiation and preventing it from escaping into the space. Now, these gases then re-radiate the heat in all directions, including back to Earth, which trap heat. Like if you park a car in a hot sun with closed windows and you go inside after some time, you see it is hot inside, like a oven. That is a greenhouse effect. So that can lead to warming, and that's exactly what has happened. How to mitigate this is you have to reduce the release of the greenhouse gases, specifically burning fossil fuels, and by increasing renewable energy. So that is this kind of solution we can work. The last, I would say, is the power of partnership. It is better to put two heads instead of just only one, 2 heads are better than one, they say. No point in reinventing the wheel. You see the Coom River before independence, it was like this. And see the right side, the condition now. And I took this from the newspaper last week, where the mayor and US experts, they discussed strategy to clean up this choking Coom, which is good, which is very good. And I worked for many years in US government agencies promoting partnership project, and I have found that everywhere the partnership is good. I'm very proud of launching a partnership between two of the world's greatest rivers, the Mississippi in the US and the Mekong in Asia. That was 20 years ago. I initiated it. Today, it has grown into a big tree. It has gone to yielding great benefits. More and more efforts have been put in. So, in fact, I wrote a paper called The Fast Lane to India's Water Management, which was published by Wiley Press, citing the benefits of partnership. And these are all things that can work, but somebody has to, the power concerned should be really think, and the people have to put the efforts. Now, currently, there are many US-India partnerships, and there is a forefront collaboration called US-India Strategic Clean Energy Partnership, and there are many such from other countries also. What has the government done about it? They have taken many actions. They have done the Ministry of Jal Shakti, Bureau of Water Efficiency, launched in 2022. Mission Amrit Savar, again 2022, restore 75 water bodies to mark 70 years of independence. Atal Bhujal Yojana 2019 to improve ground waste management, and many other recognition to environment awards and so on. So this is the government initiative. What about our foundation? What are the upcoming initiatives? I thought I will mention one. We are planning another webinar which will deal with the demand side of water, water-wise. It will empower students and other interested people. Tentatively, it is scheduled on February 16th. And we want to educate. We also want to encourage people by holding some environmental contests with prizes. And then we also want to empower people with an environmental newsletter and promote environmental projects. Small, maybe small level, but then it will go on, These small things, small drops become an ocean, right? So we are coming to the last portion of our presentation. Conclusions and recommendations. The first one is the environmental sector faces numerous challenges. That is a fact, which I mentioned before. And I did mention the priority of 5 sectors. Secondly, the ancient wisdom serves as a guide to respect nature and expand the scope to address challenges. Let's admit we have failed in respecting nature and in using the resources judiciously as our ancestors did. I think everybody should take lessons from the timeless wisdom of our ancestors. Wisdom teaches us to respect and nourish nature. Wisdom teaches us that creatures, from the tiny bee to a massive tree, take very little from nature but give back far more benefits. The bee gives you free honey, the tree gives you fruits. In contrast, we humans extract more from nature, returning only debris and waste and degradation. The ancient wisdom urges us to rehabilitate our planet's earth, reorienting our administrative, educational systems and the 5 elements. Okay, coming to what our recommendation, I would recommend very strongly to promote environmental awareness. Many people don't know because they are not told. And one more important thing is character building, which is not taught, I'm not sure, in the schools. In many schools, as a formal subject. There was a time when moral science was taught. I don't know whether it's done or not. Character building is important. In my granddaughter's school, there's a big board which is put. In our school, character is most important. This is a banner. So that's the way it should. And also, information technology should be used. Many show, this social responsibility can be transmitted through our digital technology. And how to nourish nature as a source of happiness is something which we can talk about. We also want to encourage volunteers from communities and recognize them. There are many volunteers already working, and corporates and governments should also encourage them by recognizing efforts through some awards. But I was happy to receive one order from the Tamil Nadu government and also from other. So that's a recognition which inspires you to do more work. And finally, build a partnership. It may be between one NGO to another NGO. It may be between NGO to government. It may be public-private partnership. Any kind of partnership, tangible partnerships with organization to accelerate solutions. This is what is required. And we seek and welcome partners to join us in our efforts. And we are coming to the last slide, which is a big thank you to you. I'm going to conclude with some meaningful prayers. Om Tat Samyoravrinimage Gatum Yajnaya Gatum Yajnapataye Daivir Swastirastunaha Swastir Manushepyaha Urdhvam Jigadu Beshajam Sanno Astu Dipate Sanchatushpate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. From the Purusha Suktam, it means we worship and pray to the Supreme Lord. Tacham, that. Tacham means that. Which is that? Supreme power. You can call it by any name. That Supreme Mother Nature or Shiva or Vishnu. We pray to that Supreme Lord for the welfare of everybody. We sing the praise of Lord during the holy fire ceremonies. May all the medicinal herbs, Urdhvam Jigadu Beshacham, Beshacham means medicinal herb. They should grow well, medicines. And may the gods bless the Sanno Astu Dipate. Dipate means 2 feet, human beings. And also Chatushpate, 4-legged animals. See the kind of wisdom. We wish not only human beings, but also all kind of animals with 4 legs to be happy. And it says peace, peace, peace everywhere. Okay, let us now work together. Again, a slokam. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanao Bhunattu Saha Vidyam Karavavakai Tejaspina Vaditamastu Ma Vitpishabhakai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let there be peace everywhere. May we work together. May we nourish together. May we work jointly with great energy. Saga Viryam Karavavakai. See that? That is the kind of wisdom, timeless wisdom, which we have to translate into action. Sarve Janaga Sukhino Bhavantu. Thank you all for listening. Any questions, you can put it on the chat box or you can send an email. I've given you the email address here. You can do that also. Okay. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Subi sir, for your wonderful webinar on timeless wisdom. And participants, the floor is open for questions, if any.
Yes. I don't find any questions in the chat box, but maybe if somebody has, they can send us an email and we can always answer that later. Okay.
So,
So thank you. Shall I stop sharing the screen?
yes, sir. There is one Mr. Deepak Lakshman Rao who's thanking you for a very informative session. Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome. You're welcome.
There's a question from Benedicta Sam.
Namaste to all, and we will see you in the next edition of our webinar on 16th February. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you, participants. Thank you so much.
Question.
Huh?
There is a question.
There is a question from one of the participants, sir.
I believe there is a question. Oh, yeah, right. I can see that. Yes. It's only thanks. I have a question. Yes, go ahead. There is a person. Please go ahead. Benedicta Sam. What's the question you have?
Hi sir, myself Benita Sham. I'm graduating BBA.
Can you type it out, please?
Sir, I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What are the opportunities that I have in environment after I graduate BBA, sir?
Yeah. Please say it again.
What are the opportunities that I have in environment after I graduate BBA? Of course, BBA.
Well, I'm not able to distinctly understand your question.
He is asking about career prospects in environment. His
He's
UG
asking about?
is BBA, sir. He's doing his BBA. So he's asking career prospects in environment after his undergraduation.
Yes,
What can he do
definitely.
in this genre? Yes, sir.
Most definitely. You are doing your BBA. There are many opportunities in the environmental field, and today it is gathering more momentum. Where are you located?
Chennai, sir.
Oh, I see. Good. I think it's an excellent choice. Go ahead, and you need any help, Please send me an email and we can answer it further.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't find any more questions, so I will.
Yes, sir. So
with
I
your
think
permission,
the rest of the
Jalali.
questions, if will come via email, and then we'll answer it, sir. On this note, we conclude this very successful session of the webinar from Subi, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, participant. Have a great evening.
Namaste.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.